Today we are talking about Dusk Form Lycanroc, which came out recently with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Looking back on it, I kind of figured that it was pretty similar to some other Lycanroc forms. So today we are going to be discussing why it exists and what its place is in the Pokemon community. So without further ado, let's start. So before we start singling out Dusk Form, we should probably take a look at it in comparison with its other, neighboring, I guess, forms. When we look at the stats of Dusk and Midnight Lycanroc, we see that there's a drastic difference between these two forms in particular. While Midnight form specializes in endurance with higher defenses and HP, Dusk form seems to focus much more on speed, donating a bunch of points from those three stats to have about 30 more points in terms of base stat totals for speed. With that said, you're probably thinking,
well, the stats between the two are pretty varied, so they're probably for different playstyles. So what do you mean in the title that there's nothing special about it?
welp. There it is. Literally, all they did for the stats of Dusk form was take 2 speed points from Midday form and give it to attack. In case you don't know what the scale or weight of base stats are, this difference will be extremely minuscule and probably absolutely unnoticeable in battle. While stats aren't the only thing to judge a Pokemon by, well, it's most of what you judge it by. These numbers dictate the amount of damage the Pokemon can take and do, so with the difference being basically absent between these two Pokemon, naturally you would probably go for the easier one to train if this was the only info available. And that's Midday form if you're playing one of the Sun games. In Ultra Sun, Midday form simply needs to level up to evolve. On the other hand, we have Dusk form, which only evolves from a specific Rockruff obtained through an event, which may require a system update to undergo, which would take away from the time in the game, in turn making it harder to train considering that you need to go through 15 levels to get to that point, at which case it would probably accidentally evolve into a different Lycanroc, seeing that the hour Dusk form can be appearing is only between 5 and 6, leaving 23 other hours for the automatically turn on experience share to slip up and get your Rockruff to level 25 unintentionally, ruining the entire point of doing any of this in the first place. I am probably overreacting to that, but still it is much more of a hassle than Midday form with very limited benefits. So here comes the title question. What exactly is so special about Lycanroc Dusk form? Well, one of the things they touted was a different ability from the other two forms. While Midday form had Sand Rush, Midnight had Vital Spirit, and either could potentially have Keen Eye, Dusk form has the ability Own Tempo. Own Tempo prevents confusion from afflicting the Pokemon with it, which is similar to Midnight form's Vital Spirit ability, which basically does the same thing for Sleep. Keen Eye prevents accuracy reduction, which is usually not too common of a thing, and Midday form's Sand Rush has minimal effects, sometimes boosting the speed of Lycanroc, which is probably already higher than the opponent, making that kind of unnecessary. So for the form with the best ability, it would probably be a tie-up between Dusk form and Midnight form with Vital Spirit. Whether or not you think sleep or confusion prevention will be more helpful is up to you, but this shows how Dusk form probably has a better ability than a lot of other Lycanroc. Dusk form also has a few unique moves, the first 3 being Fire Fang, Thunder Fang, and Happy Hour. Those first 2 may be helpful in the outset of the game, but eventually they can be outdone by other moves Lycanroc learns. Happy Hour, on the other hand, tends to kinda specific trainers actually.
The greedy kind who want a lot of money.
When Happy Hour is used, it doubles the amount of prize money earned at the end of a trainer battle. So if you're in need of money in the games, Dusk form would probably be worthwhile to train up. Accelerock is also a Lycanroc exclusive move, but seeing that Midday form can learn it too, it kinda doesn't help here. Other than this though, there's really no distinction in any battle performance between Midday and Dusk forms. So let's go to the Pokédex to find differences instead. According to the Pokédex and, well, general observations, Dusk form shares traits with both Midday and Midnight form Lycanrocs. It has the quadruped appearance of Midday form, similarly colored fur, and similar head shape. With Midnight form, it shares a more spiked appearance, less aptitude for loyalty, and apparently, although I've never seen it, red eyes when it attacks. With this, the appearance could be said that it's a cross between the other two forms. This is basically confirmed by behavior though, while Midday form takes part in an orderly, trainer-based kind of battle for the most part, and Midnight form kinda instigates unruly rough fighting. Dusk form kind of takes a neutral stance, only fighting when necessary and instead isolating itself. This massive cross in traits between the original two present in Dusk form may appear because it's kind of a genetic amalgamation between the two, onset by the forces of the sun and moon clashing at dusk. Or at least that's what I think, considering the weird symbolism Pokemon has. However, it still retains more traits of Midday form, with Dusk still technically being daylight. This would pose its purpose as not being a major variation of playstyle from other Lycanroc, but rather just as a rare Lycanroc. It's kind of like a shiny Pokemon, but taken a step further as its own unique form with separate traits from a normal Pokemon. And just like a shiny, it takes a whole lot more effort to get, and has no effects on stats or battling whatsoever. So the answer to our question, Lycanroc Dusk form exists, or is unique, because it is a rare genetic variation of mostly Midday Lycanroc. However, this is only what I gathered, so what do you think? What makes Lycanroc's Dusk form unique? Please leave a comment down below. You can also subscribe to see videos like this twice a week. Regardless, I'm going to play more Ultra Moon, and I will see you in the next video.